It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 3 films released on September 4th, 2009, Labor Day weekend, which is usually not a good weekend for movies. This weekend is no exception. There is at least one good movie that we'll eventually get to, but, maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, because we have the first movie here, which features Sandra Bullock starring in a movie where she wins a very important award at the end of the year for this film. No, it's not the Academy Award. That comes later in the year with the Blind Side. But no, this movie is more important than the Academy Award. It's the Razzie Award-winning movie for her, and clearly you can see why with this trailer that I'm about to show you.
Mary.
Yes?
Do you ever stop working long enough to, go out, go on a date?
Oh, well, I have a date this evening. Yeah, Steve. His mother probably thinks he's gay. So my parents are no doubt pimping me out to test his sexuality. Thanks. Better get going. I'm gonna fall in love and register at Barnes & Normal. Have a beautiful wedding. Little tiny plastic bride and groom on top of a cake, posing like this.
If you ever want to see any grandchildren, you're gonna have to burn those damn boots.
For Mary,
Mayor, your date is here.
He's hot.
it was love at first sight.
Hey, Mary. I'm Steve.
He's so not gay.
For Steve,
Oh, wow. Oh, you okay?
it was not.
Yeah. There's a hurricane off the coast of Texas. I gotta go to work. I really wish you could be there.
This fall,
I'm going to go meet Steve at his next job. Yeah, yes, it's a storm.
she's hitting the road.
Stop, please! Move, guys! Want to go have Steve?
And the deeper they get,
You can't stay here.
But you said...
I'm a guy. We say things we don't mean.
Well, then, how do I know you mean what you're saying now when you said you didn't mean what you said?
Call the police. So All About Steve is the story of Sandra Bullock, who is a woman who writes crossword puzzles for the Sacramento Herald. She's loquacious to a fault. When kids at a career day make fun of her for being single, she accepts a blind date with Steve, played by Bradley Cooper, the cameraman for a CNN-like news network. Within minutes, she's deciding that he's the man for her. Quickly pulled off by her constrained verbiage and over-the-top advances, he makes an offhand remark about going on the road with her, then splits. Moonstruck, she writes a sappy crossword puzzle, loses her job, and decides to follow him and the news team, crisscrossing the Southwest. Steve's team eggs her on, then she falls into a mind trap, and she and Steve become a story. In a love story. I'm not even kidding. That's literally how this is written on IMDb. Don't believe me? Take a look. Yeah. That's literally how it's written. I mean, good lord, this movie is a train wreck. I mean, even the poster that I'm looking at right here, which I'll show you right here. I mean, look at how bad that is. Look at how just... Nobody was even on the same set where they shot that photo. You could just tell they took scenes from the movie, just took various actors from various parts of the film, just put it on there. It's one of the worst posters I had ever seen in my entire life. But, it makes sense because this is one of the worst comedies ever made. And, now I know what you're thinking out there. Oh, well, why do you gotta be like that? I mean, it's a stupid romantic comedy. I mean, can't you just have fun with it? Let me put it this way. Switch the genders around. Instead of Sandra Bullock, let's just say for the sake of the argument here, replace Sandra Bullock with Bradley Cooper, and it's Bradley Cooper in the same role as Sandra Bullock is, and Sandra Bullock is in the role of Bradley Cooper. Tell me how this is not a psychological thriller if it's that way. But no, because it's Sandra Bullock and she's America's sweetheart, no, of course it's got to be this well-meaning, heartfelt, romantic comedy about somebody who is just, she's just too sweet and not a psychotic stalker and completely over her goddamn head, because that's exactly what this woman is. She is nuts. She is completely wacko, and the movie should not be celebrating her like this. But no, this keeps going through the entire fucking movie. And just as the synopsis says, it doesn't help that everyone else around these two people keep egging on Sandra Bullock, just keep going with it. Even though Thomas Hayden Church and Ken Jeong, who plays the other, who's also in The Hangover as well, are in on the ride too. And it's just like, Like, nobody in this movie is likable. There is not one person in this movie that you give a shit about. And then by the end of the movie, where it's just like, you know, where they have to have that heartfelt message at the end of it, where it's just like, you know, maybe Mary isn't the crazy one. Maybe we're all the crazy ones. No, you're all the crazy ones, including her. This town should be blown up. Somebody should nuke this fucking town and everybody involved in it, so we never have to deal with this movie ever again. Because, good Lord, what a disastrous movie. What a disastrous movie. A movie that, it's amazing that Sandra Bullock's Oscar chances didn't go completely out the door with this movie. And yet, maybe it's because the Blind Side came out after this. Because if it came out before this movie and then this film came out, there's no way she would have won the Oscar for this movie. Absolutely no way. But, hey, she's a part of history. She's a part of history where in the same weekend she wins the Razzie for this, she's rewarded for an Academy Award-winning performance in The Blind Side. So, take that for what you will. But, yeah, this film, oh, dear God, this movie, it's amazing that this isn't on my list of the worst movies ever made. Because this is one of those movies where it so could have easily been on that list. But then again, a lot of bad movies are coming out in 2009 that could have easily been on the worst of the year list. Bride Wars, at the beginning of the year, was a perfect example of one. And, you know, New in Town. We just had a couple of other ones we talked about over the last couple of months. But, yeah, this is definitely up there with some of the worst comedies of the year. And one of the worst comedies ever made. This is an ungodly mess of a movie. This is unbelievable how bad this movie is. And if you still don't believe it, again, shitty-looking poster for a shitty movie. Avoid this like the plague. I mean, that's the best thing I can tell you about this movie, so just avoid it. Just don't even bother with it. Your life will be better off if you never see it. So yeah, there you go. That's all about Steve for you. So let's go ahead and move on to some better movies. This one, not so much, but it's definitely a hell of a lot better than All About Steve. This is Gerard Butler in Gamer.
Slayers, the ultimate online multiplayer video game. Yes! Where you, the gamer,
Excitement. I'm playing you.
have complete control over a real-life human being. Ready to begin? Show on September 4th.
This is not something you can control.
You lose. He dies.
Your wife and your daughter need you.
Turn you loose. Gerard Butler, Michael C. Hall, and Ludacris. Gamer, rated R, in theater September 4th.
Now, honestly, if the film had just stopped there, you probably could have had something really fun overall, but nope. This is a movie where they basically handed Mark Neverdine and Brian Taylor the keys to do whatever the hell they want to because of what they did with the Craig films. Here, take the keys, do whatever you want with it, get as crazy as you want to, and the end result is a very disjointed and ugly, ugly movie. But it has a great premise to it. Gerard Butler stars as a participant in an online game in which participants can control human beings as players, with Logan Lerman from Percy Jackson as the player who controls them. You have a cast that also includes Michael C. Hall as the bad guy, Ludacris, Amber Valletta, Terry Crews, Alison Lohman, John Leguizamo, Sam Witwer, and Zoe Bell. And again, if it was just what the trailer was showing you there, this thing could have worked very well. But unfortunately, this is a movie where they basically go completely over the top dark for no particular reason, and creepy and ugly. Like, there's parts in the movie where they show some of these players who are controlling these people in the game that are just nothing but disgusting, weird, creepy nerds who play as women and just do nothing but just have them have sex all the time. And that's, it's basically like they're masturbating, except it's not really. It's just kind of like it just doesn't make any sense at all. Why this movie decided to throw that in there, because it makes no sense at all. And, I want to get behind this movie because there are some good ideas to it. And the casting overall isn't terrible. Most of the people in here are doing their parts and doing a good job. But at the same time, it doesn't help when the film goes insanely. It can't decide whether it wants to go dark with it or go insanely over the top. Because Michael C. Hall in this movie goes insanely over the top for no reason at all. And it just completely ruins the ebb and flow of the movie. You need to have a balance. You need to have a balance like something like The Running Man, which is very much what this movie is supposed to be, a modern-day version of The Running Man. The Running Man worked because it balanced out the comedic moments with the darker moments, and it was a ton of fun overall. This, it wants to try to be one thing or the other, and it can't decide which one, and it just falls apart because of it. It just isn't an enjoyable film. Plus, it also doesn't help that this is one of those movies where, kind of like we talked about with District 9, and, you give these two guys a bigger budget to work with, And instead of making something that actually fits, gives them more opportunities to do what they want, they make a film that... Ooh, excuse me, I was trying to hold that in, but no, I can't do it. But you try to make a movie where you get a bigger budget, so you can have free range to do whatever you want. You get to do that, but you don't make a good movie out of it. This thing cost $50 million to make, which is much less than the Crank movies did. I think Crank High Voltage was only about, $20 million. And so you give them a $50 million budget, and this is the end result of it. You get this, you get a movie like this, and then they do and then following that they do Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, and then it pretty much just kills their overall film directing career as a whole, because nobody ever wants to work with these guys after the Crank after Ghost Rider. And it's just like, it's amazing how these two their careers pretty much fell apart as soon as they made Jonah Hex, where they wrote the script for that, and they also did, of course, Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. And it just really is a bummer, man, because it is something where there is a good concept here, there's a good plot here, but it just isn't enough to really help the film when it can't decide which direction it wants to go in, and it can't decide if it wants to be dark or sadistic black comedy, or does it want to be a very serious film. It can't figure out the balance. It's trying to be like The Running Man, except The Running Man knew the balance. This one really does not, and like I said, it's a shame because there's a lot here that I thought could be really cool to see, and it just isn't there. So, yeah, unfortunately, a skip on Gamer, even though, I mean, there are times when it could be fun, but it's just not enough to save the film overall, so yeah. You can skip Gamer as well. So, 2 movies that were not very good, but at least we end the week off with a better movie. Let's take a look at the last film we have here, and that is Mike Judge's latest film, Extract.
The creator of Office Space. Everything you know about employment.
Let me introduce you to the new temps. This is Cindy.
Hi.
Hey.
And, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Communication.
She work here?
She's a temp.
She's a tramp?
Temp.
And teamwork.
I'm just gonna sit here.
He's about to get blown right off.
That is messed up. Stress is a killer. You should try smoking. That's a drug. It's a flower.
Extract. Rated R.
So Mike Judge, of course, is the guy who did Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. He also did Office Space and Idiocracy, which did not become big hits at the box office, but did eventually go on to have cult followings. And this one wasn't a hit at the box office either, but then again, it didn't really help that the marketing campaign was not really all that strong. I mean, the fact that they had to go to Paramount and get Beavis and Butthead to come out of retirement to promote this movie for no particular reason. I mean, it's great to see Beavis and Butthead and all, but it's just kind of like, why are they here?
Good evening. I'm Butthead. Tonight, Beavis and I will be discussing an important new film called Extract. Fire! In this movie, there's this dude named Bateman who owns a factory that makes vanilla extract. Bateman.
I mean, I get it. That's Mike Judge's nest egg right there. But at the same time, it's just like, they have nothing to do with the movie. So why even bother having them coming out to promote the film in general? And it's just like, if they had some connection to it, like the next year, they would have them at the beginning of Jackass 3D. But that made sense because Jackass and Beavis and Butthead were on MTV. It made sense for Beavis and Butthead to be at the beginning of that movie because that's where it all got started for them. But here, I don't know what they were thinking by having them in that little bit of a preview in the marketing, because it didn't really help the film overall. Even though the film itself isn't really bad either. It's a story where you are making fun of the working conditions of a company from the perspective of the owner rather than the employee. So it's kind of like the opposite view of Office Space. It's literally a companion piece to Office Space, where you have Jason Bateman at the forefront, and then you have Mila Kunis, Kristen Wiig, Ben Affleck, J.K. Simmons, Clifton Collins Jr., and Dustin Milligan among the cast in the film. And it's a good movie overall. It's definitely one of the weaker films Mike Judge has made, I think, compared to Office Space, Beavis and Butthead, and also Idiocracy. This is definitely the weakest of the 4 films he's done, but it's still not a terrible movie overall. I just think there was really not enough there to really sell the film to a lot of people, and that's why it kind of came and went when it came out in theaters. I mean, it did eventually make its budget back overall, just barely, but it only cost $8 million to make $10 million. But, yeah, most people pretty much have forgotten about it, unfortunately. And it's a shame because there is a good movie in here. It is a really good film. I thought Ben Affleck was really good in the supporting role overall. I thought Kristen Wiig was very good. Mila Kunis, J.K. Simmons, David Koechner has a role in here that's pretty good. There is a lot of good things about the film overall, but I don't think it was enough there for a mass success overall. Plus, it didn't help that the marketing campaign overall really kind of fell apart in trying to sell the movie to most people. Yeah, it just literally kind of came and went. So, I mean, like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's not even a bad movie at all. It's a pretty good movie overall, but it's definitely one of Mike Judge's weaker films, if not his weakest film as a director. But it's Mike Judge doing what Mike Judge does best, so Mike Judge usually can never do any wrong, and this one definitely isn't wrong, but it's definitely the weaker of his films overall. But it's still pretty good, so I do recommend Extract.
Everybody that loves you in your life, you push them away. Why do you do this?
Don't mess everything up. I gotta fix this. We gonna get through this, okay?
Talk to me like that one more time. I've been to jail. I'll shank you, fool. Shank you.
'Cause I can do bad all by myself.
Which is funny, because that's what most people think of Tyler Perry's movies. Like, that's probably what he thinks to himself. I can do bad all by myself. Okay, maybe I don't know if there's certainly a number of people that would think that, but I think some people would probably think that overall. But believe it or not, this is actually one of his better movies overall. And yeah, Medea is in here, but she's not in this movie for very long. In fact, she's only in there in the beginning of the movie, and that's about it. After, like, the first 5-10 minutes, you don't see her again in this movie. The main focus of the film is that you have a story here about an alcoholic lounge singer played by Taraji P. Henson, who is persuaded to take the custody of her niece and nephews by Medea after she catches them breaking into her house, and their grandmother has gone missing. Now, believe it or not, there is a play based off of this that's Tyler Perry based this off of, but the film is not a straightforward adaptation of the story. It's basically kind of an original story in general, and like I said, it's one of the better ones. Like, I'm not really a Tyler Perry person, but this is one of those ones where I watched it and I was just kind of like, this is what I'm actually liking here. This is one where it doesn't fall into lousy cliches like The Family That Prays or stupid stuff like Temptation or some of his later movies in general, but this is a movie where you do get invested in the characters overall. I mean, it helps that Taraji P. Henson is at the forefront of this. She's somebody that anytime she's in a movie, I'm right there because she's such a great actress, and she plays this very well. I mean, she's very good in the role here of April. You have great performances by Ana Rodriguez as her love interest. Mary J. Blige has a good little role here. Gladys Knight. You know, the characters in here are very enjoyable to watch. Sometimes the jokes can work, sometimes not so much. But the story overall keeps you invested, and the actors overall keep you invested in it as well. It's not a great movie overall, but it certainly is one of the better Tyler Perry movies overall. It's definitely one of those films where even somebody like me who's not a big Tyler Perry fan would even go as far as to say, it's one definitely worth checking out, because it actually is worth it overall. Yeah, definitely one you want to check out. I could do bad all by myself. Well, in this case, Tyler Perry, you didn't do bad. You did pretty good, for the most part. But, anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and get to probably my overall favorite film of the week. And it's a film that kind of came and went because as soon as it was out in theaters, most people forgot about it shortly afterward. But it's really one you want to check out. It's a movie called 9.
Such potential, such promise. Life must go on.
We can't do this without you.
You shall protect the future. Rated PG-13.
So based off of a short film by the director of this, Shane Acker, the story follows a ragdoll labeled 9, voiced by Elijah Wood, who awakens shortly after the end of humanity following the uprising of machines in this alternate version of the 1940s. And he comes across all these other characters played by John C. Reilly, Jennifer Connelly, Christopher Plummer, Crispin Glover, Martin Landau, and Fred Tatasciore. The last one you know is the voice of Hulk in the Marvel animated series. But yeah, this is a movie that kind of came and went when it came out. It did very well. It was a movie that made $48 million over its $30 million budget, so it was a hit. It did receive good reviews from critics, and, you know, it was a film that, like I said, came out, nobody really talked about it after 2009, and the only time it ever was brought up was when the Nostalgia Critic did a review for it a couple of years ago. But really, it's a really damn good movie. Like, it's a movie where it brings you flashbacks of something like The Secret of Nim. Some, these darker movies these darker animated movies intended for kids, where there is more to it. And, you get through, you go through a lot of trials and tribulations. You go through a lot of moments where people are getting killed. Characters you're used to, you're getting invested in are killed off in very effed up ways. And yeah, that happens in this movie a lot in here. But that's part of the direction of where they're going with it. I thought it actually worked very well. The animation is very good. I mean, this is a film that has a lot of really good animation overall. Some really good CG animation. The voice work is very good. The storyline is very interesting and very well done. Some people say the twist you can see kind of coming a mile away. And watching it again, I'll admit that, yeah, you can kind of see where it would go in some way, shape, or form. But the first time you see it, it really is something that does take you back a little bit. But then when you put it all together, it's just like, yeah, this makes a whole lot of sense of where the direction this is going. But it doesn't take away from the movie overall. And I think it is one of the more underrated movies that came out this year, in a very strong year of animated movies. And we're going to get to one next week that is one of the best animated movies of the year. And it's a shame that didn't get nominated for an Oscar. But this one probably should have gotten one too. And like I said, I like it because it took me back to old school 80s animation, like where it could be dark and it could be for kids, but you're gonna have to deal with the dark stuff before you get to the light side of things. Like it's like a Don Bluth movie in a way, but this is one where it's definitely one worth checking out. It's a film that did not get the proper attention it did get the proper attention when it was released, but since then it's been largely forgotten. But it's definitely one that I feel like deserves another reappreciation of it over time. And that's not even the last movie that has the title of 9 that is really good that came out this year. We'll get to that one at the very end of the year. And like this movie, very underappreciated ahead in its time, and one that definitely deserves a rewatch. But again, we'll save that for Christmas time. But yeah, this movie you should definitely check out. 9 is really good. So with that said, let us go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is the remake of Sorority Row.
The hottest girls are all Theta Pi.
I love you because you're so real. That's just because you can't afford fake ones.
But these sisters
I saw what you did.
have a secret
I keep thinking about Megan. We killed her. Seriously, grow a pair.
that just
Someone knows me.
won't
Megan.
die.
She's dead.
Sorority Row.
Don't think I'm afraid of you. I run a house with 50 crazy...
Rated R, September 11th.
Yeah, you should probably know not to fuck around with a Princess Leia with a goddamn shotgun like that. I mean, that's something that you should have that once you see that, it's just like, okay, I gotta get the hell out of here. I gotta figure out another way out of here, another way to do this. But this is, of course, a remake of the 1982 horror film The House on Sorority Row, and features some notable names at the time, some great young actresses, Brianna Evigan, who was in the Step Up to the Streets, Leah Pipes, Rumor Willis, Bruce Willis and Demi Moore's daughter, Jamie Chung from Sucker Punch and Dragon Ball Evolution. This one's certainly a lot better, but not that much. Margot Harshman, Audrina Patrick from The Hills, Carrie Fisher, I mentioned already. And this is, of course, a film where a group of sorority sisters who cover up the accidental death of a fellow sister after a prank goes horribly wrong. 8 months later, a masked killer begins stalking and murdering the girls on the night of the graduation for their role in the cover-up. So it's basically just The House on Sorority Row meets I Know What You Did Last Summer meets every other slasher movie you ever seen in your life. Because that's literally what the movie is. There's nothing about this movie that really distinguishes it from any other slasher movie out there. And because of that, the film really does suffer big time. The actresses overall are doing the best they can to make this work, and it certainly is a lot better than some of the more just downright terrible horror remakes at the time that we're going to get to later on, like the 2019 Black Christmas remake, which is completely goes against everything that the original film was trying to do in terms of the social message and all that. Like, yeah, this movie doesn't really distance itself from other movies similar to it, but at least it's better than some bad horror remakes that were coming out around this time, like the aforementioned 2019 Black Christmas, or the year before that, we had that Prom Night remake, or even what's coming up a month after this with the Stepfather remake. I mean, it's one of the better ones of those, but even then, it's still something that I wouldn't say you should go out and see. I mean, even if you want to see the best stuff of the movie, that's what the internet is for. But other than that, though, yeah, it's not worth it to go check out. I mean, there's certainly other better things you could be watching besides Sorority Row. Certainly not our next movie, which is Kate Beckinsale starring in yet another Dark Castle Entertainment movie. I guess they were going out of business at this time because 2009 had a ton of their movies, and most of them were not that good. Case in point, Whiteout.
In the coldest place on Earth, a storm can kill you in less than 5 minutes. All of this, by the way,
The virus mark. Somebody had a body on the ice.
nature isn't the only thing to fear.
What have we got then?
The radar went off the chart. We see something big.
Oh my God. We're not gonna make it.
Beckinsale. Whiteout is ours. Your last breath, right?
So once again, let's just combine all these different things. Let's combine The Thing, let's combine The Fog, let's combine The Mist, let's combine a little bit of 30 Days of Night, and let's also throw in a little bit of a crime thriller aspect in here. And yeah, like I said, this is one of those movies where Dark Castle Entertainment was behind it. And I don't know what was going on at the time because there was a ton of these movies coming out from them. And I guess they were going through bankruptcy or something like that. Or so, I don't know. But there was a lot of the movies that they were putting out, and not a lot of them were very good. This film is set in Antarctica, where you have a deputy U.S. Marshal played by Kate Beckinsale, who's planning to leave in a few days. And after finding a dead body, Stetko, that's her character's name, is attacked by a mass killer who is trying to get a hold of the cargo in an old Soviet plane that crash-landed in the ice during the Cold War. So it's not even a horror movie, and yet it still finds ways to combine elements of The Fog and The Thing and The Mist. But no, it's a crime thriller, and it's one of those movies where I went into it thinking to myself, you know, there's a possibility for something really good in here, but then you watch it and it's just kind of like, yeah, it just goes down the predictable route that you think it's going to go down. It is a very formulaic thriller that really doesn't have a whole lot there. And, you know, I'm a guy that likes a movie that takes place in the snow. There's just something about watching a movie with white snow on the ground, and you get in a big movie theater, and you feel like it's cold, you feel like there's a chill in the air. You know, I'm like Elsa from Frozen. The cold never bothers me anyway, and I like cold weather, so this should be right up my alley, and yet it just doesn't work here. And it doesn't work because it's a lame brain story. It's a film that really does not feel like it should be this bland and forgettable. Even the person who wrote the graphic novel this is based off of said that even that they thought it was a very different movie that didn't work its way as they wanted to. He said that comic Carrie and one-act play Carrie would shake movie Carrie down behind the bleachers, laugh her out of the You Share Our Name club, and send her limping and muling home to Mother, and they wouldn't feel a moment's regret about doing it either. I mean, that's how much he did not enjoy this portrayal of the movie overall. So this isn't like another Alan Moore where, you know, he hates any adaptation, even the good adaptations of his work. No, this is a guy that really thought they were going to do something good out of his property, and no, they just didn't work at all. And again, not written by hacks at all, not made by hack people at all. I mean, the writers of this two of the writers are the writers who gave us The Conjuring. John Hober and Eric Hober wrote Red. Dominic Sena has directed some good action movies. Gone in 60 Seconds was a good action movie. I mean, there's been a lot of good stuff that a lot of these people have been involved in. Swordfish, California. So yeah, these are not made by hacked people at all, but it just falls into bland, predictable, formulaic territory. We've seen done that before already, and you can't really do that with a movie like this. You got to have something more than that, and it just isn't in here. So yeah, as you can probably tell, I would tell you to skip Whiteout. But with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is the Disney documentary Walt and El Guapo.
The purpose of the Goodwill Tour to try to sell the United States to South America.
I'm sorry, Walt and El Grupo. I got the pronunciation of the last word wrong, but I mean, most people use the phrase El Guapo, so that's what I thought it was. But no, it's Walt and El Grupo. And in Walt and El Grupo, This is a presentation of the Walt Disney Family Foundation films that tells the story of Walt Disney's 1941 U.S. government-sponsored trip to Latin and South America, where he and a group of artists gathered material which were used to create the 2 Disney animated features, Saludos Amigos and The Three Caballeros, which are the films that kind of came in between Bambi and Cinderella that kind of helped the studio when, some of the animators went to work and went to war during World War II. I mean, a lot of animation studios back then had animators that were going to war and, working for the government at the time. So yeah, this is one of those stories where you don't really think there's a whole lot to it, and watching it, it was one of those ones where it's just like, I don't really see the purpose overall of doing a film like this to just show that here's Walt and his animators working on inspirations for their 2 movies that came out in the 40s, because that really is what it is. But there is kind of a fascination to it, and kind of a fascination to what Disney was doing around the time with a couple of these documentaries that were coming out, because we had this one, we had the one with the Sherman Brothers that came out shortly afterward, and then we had the best one of the bunch, which was Waking Sleeping Beauty. So this is kind of a precursor to what Disney Plus would eventually become, because this is still like 10 years away from what Disney Plus would be doing with like documentaries, with all these different things about the Disney studios and all, and this kind of gives you a sneak preview of what's to come from that. And I think this director, if I'm not mistaken, he did he do Frank and Ollie? Yeah, he did Frank and Ollie, which was another really good Disney documentary that came out in the 1990s. And, this is a really good movie. It's a movie where, you watch it and you just kind of feel like this really should not be doing a whole lot, because the story overall really isn't all that engaging or interesting, but they do a pretty good job of keeping you invested and watching these animators getting inspiration for what they would later use for the Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos. So, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag movie. If you go into it knowing what you're going into, I think you can go into it and kind of enjoy it for what it is. But I'm not going to say that that general casual Disney fans should look at this movie and watch it overall and probably get something out of it. This is like for the hardcore Disney lovers, but I think they would really get invested in how they found all this inspiration for Amigos and Caballeros. And I guess for that, it's kind of worth it on that level. I mean, it's one I say, it's definitely check it out. Walt and El Grupo.
Flint Lockwood's inventions were always
Hair on Balder!
a little odd.
Why can't you be more like my son Cal?
Sup? But on September 18th, conversion of water into food. Get ready to get served.
It really works!
Can you make it rain food again, please?
Mamma mia. Cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
No, school!
In 3D and IMAX 3D, rated PG.
So Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is based off of a children's book, which really is not really based off the book. I mean, the book is not really all that big overall and doesn't really have all the stuff that's in this movie. But you have the story where you have a young inventor named Flint Lockwood, voiced by Bill Hader, who invents a machine that turns water into food. And after having it accidentally fly into the sky, the town of Swallow Falls, which is a sardine-filled town, starts to have food falling from the sky, and the mayor of the town, voiced brilliantly well by Bruce Campbell, asks Flint to make more food and make it bigger, leading the town into chaos and creating essentially a disaster movie with food for a kids' film. And you have an all-star cast that also includes Anna Faris, James Caan and Lauren Graham, Andy Samberg, Neil Patrick Harris, Mr. T, and Bobby J. Thompson. I gotta say, man, they did a great job with the casting in this movie. I mean, I couldn't believe how good a lot of the casting was in this movie. Everybody plays their parts very well. The one person that comes out of this movie and you really think to yourself, wow, I did not think I would ever get a really good, strong performance unlike what we used to see from this guy. And that is, of all people, Mr. T. You see Mr. T in a movie, you expect him to be like, I pity the fool. You're supposed to expect him to be B.A. Baracus. That's a horrible impression of Mr. T right there. But I'm trying to speed this along here. But you expect him to be like B.A. Baracus from the A-Team. You expect him to be the guy from Rocky 3. And it definitely sounds like him, but the performance is much more restrained. And it does make a whole lot of sense for the story in general and him to be in there. Like, it's a more restrained performance overall, and it really does work very well. Like I said, the performances overall here are great. One that kind of gets overlooked is James Caan, who plays the father of Flint, and I like his performance in here because he has a hard time trying to connect with his son. They speak on different wavelengths. Like, he's an old man, he's a young guy, and any family out there can have that, where your dad is clearly stuck in a different generation and you're in a newer generation. I mean, my dad and I do that sometimes, but it's really fun to see him in this movie. And again, a more restrained James Caan performance in here that he really does give it his all. It kind of gets overlooked because everybody else in the movie is just so well casted in here. Bill Hader and Anna Faris just work off each other so well in this movie. But really, this was an awakening for Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who before this had been known for their work on television, stuff like How I Met Your Mother, Scrubs, and of course their magnum opus at the time, Clone High, which went on to have a cult following after lasting only a season on MTV. But this was the movie that essentially woke everybody up and made them realize that, hey, these guys actually are really funny. We should let them do more stuff. And thus, the Jump Street movies came out, the Lego movie, the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movies, Into the Spider-Verse, whichever ones you want to go with here. They're both great movies, but like, they became the it filmmakers of their time, the it comedy filmmakers, because every time they made a movie, they just knocked it out of the park. And yeah, these are great talents, and they're putting it all into this movie that really they don't really need to do it, but man, it just works so well. And it also put Sony Pictures Animation on the map too, because Open Season and Surf's Up had come out. Yeah, Surf's Up got an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature, but this was their first massive hit, and proving that they could make it as their own animation studio. And slowly but surely, they started making more and more movies, and most of them were pretty good, with a couple of exceptions, the Smurfs movies, the Emoji Movie, but then they made Arthur Christmas, which was great, and then, of course, they made the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse movies. But, yeah, you get the idea. But you get the idea that Sony Pictures Animation, this was the movie that really turned them around and made them a force to be reckoned with, to be up there with some of the best animated studios out there. I mean, just not much more I can really say about this movie. It's just such a funny movie. I laugh every time I see it. I watch it so many times. I've watched it on several occasions over one day. Like, it's that kind of a movie where I just can't help but watch it and just fall in love with it every single time. It's hilarious. It's well done. The animation is great. The comedy is top-notch. This is a great movie. What more do I gotta say? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is a terrific film. So that's easily the big hit of the weekend. Now let's get to a film that wasn't quite the big hit overall, but still pretty good. Matt Damon in The Informant.
Director of Oceans 11, 12, and 13 comes the movie critics are calling irreverent and ridiculously entertaining.
Yes.
One of the year's best films.
Would you be willing to wear a wire? I am approaching the entrance to the office. You don't really need to narrate the tapes. Not a problem.
It's clever, original, and very funny. Matt Damon is terrific.
Oh, yeah, I was good, right?
The Informant is a complete blast.
What is he doing? I told him the camera was in a lamp.
No. The Informant, rated R. In theaters everywhere September 18th.
You might as well just say from the director of the Oceans trilogy. I don't know why they had to say the director of Oceans 11, 12, and 13. It's just like no other Oceans 11 movies came out without him involved in it. Just say the Oceans trilogy, for God's sakes. But anyway, this is The Informant, which is a film based off of a nonfiction book of the same name by Kurt Eichenwald, and it follows Matt Damon as the titular informant, as well as Scott Bakula, Joel McHale, and Melanie Linsky, and it stars Damon as it depicts Whitaker's involvement as a whistleblower in his lysine price-fixing conspiracy of the mid-1990s, the lysine price-fixing conspiracy of the mid-1990s, and his embezzlement of millions of dollars from his employee. And it's just not... Excuse me. And it's another really good Steven Soderbergh movie. I mean, it's a film that doesn't really get much attention overall. It was a hit when it came out, but kind of like with some other movies we've looked at, it was a hit, but then it just kind of disappeared. Like, for some reason, it didn't really have the zeitgeist or the lasting power like some of his other movies, Soderbergh's other movies, or especially Matt Damon movies. But really, everything about this movie works. It's a very funny movie. Matt Damon is playing a very different kind of role than we're used to seeing him. He's not the big action star anymore that is in this movie. Like, we'll get him back in that later on down the road with Green Zone coming up in 2010. But in here, he's playing it very straightforward, and he's very funny in here. The comedy in here is really good. He's got a great cast around him. Like I said, Scott Bakula, Joel McHale, Melanie Linsky, Ann Dowd, Tom Wilson, Tom Papa, Rick Overton, Patton Oswalt, Scott Adsit, Clancy Brown, Arna Marine, Tony Hale, Andy Daly, Frank Welker. I mean, the Smothers Brothers, Richard Stephen Horowitz. They grabbed a huge assortment of not just comedic actors, but voice actors too to be in this. It just works, man. It just is a very funny, silly, over-the-top comedy, and it just really works so well. And it really is one of Matt Damon's most, not just Matt Damon, but one of Steven Soderbergh's most underrated movies. It's a film that came and went, didn't really leave much of a lasting impact with most people, but it's a really funny movie, man. It's one you should definitely check out, because it definitely deserves a little bit more reappraisal nowadays. But yeah, it's a great movie. One I'd highly recommend checking out, The Informant. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to that one movie that really, really doesn't work. And it's Jennifer Aniston and Aaron Eckhart in Love Hurts.
Frank and I were working last night.
Frank, where's lipstick?
Eloise can handle anything but her love life.
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Hood can help everyone but himself.
What motivated the bug?
My wife died 3 years ago. Would you like to have a cup of coffee? Love can happen.
My life is an experiment in really bad decisions.
When you least expect it. Give me a chance. Will you do that for me?
Yes, you would.
Love happens.
As soon as I stopped recording, I realized I said the wrong title. I said Love Hurts, but no. That's a terrible movie that came out in 2025 as of the time of recording this, but no. As you see, the title is Love Happens. And you know what doesn't happen? A good movie here, because this is a story where you have a therapist played by Aaron Eckhart and a self-help author, being enamored by a florist played by Jennifer Aniston. And, it's Bed of Roses all over again. Just replace Christian Slater and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio with Jennifer Aniston and Aaron Eckhart. And this was a notable movie for Jennifer Aniston, because this was kind of the movie that began her kind of downfall as the leading lady in a movie. Like she was supposed to be the next Julia Roberts, because she left. His Friends had ended. She was just in Bruce Almighty, and then all of a sudden everyone was waiting for her to have that Julia Roberts-esque jump as to like the next big leading female star. And she had successes with stuff like Along Came Polly, and even in movies that weren't box office successes, but were still good movies, like Derailed, what was the other one? Rumor Has It, Friends with Money. And then she started taking these really bad movies, and there were some really bad movies. And one of them we're going to get to next is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. We'll get to that one in 2010. But this is a movie where she and Aaron Eckhart are just half-assing it. And it's just not enjoyable whatsoever. And I can't buy the chemistry between the two overall, and it's just such a waste of time and a waste of patience. And like I said, it's literally the same plot as Bed of Roses, except not as sappy as that movie was, because that was a sappy movie. But there's literally nothing of value or anything intelligent or creative to it. And it's funny, because when this movie was coming out, two writers claiming that the film's premise was stolen from them filed a lawsuit, and they wanted $100 million that, they wanted an injunction against its release or to be awarded the film's future profits, which... You really thought that this was going to make any money? Okay, technically it did make it. It did double its budget when you count in worldwide numbers, but you don't remember this movie. Why are you going to sue if they say that you were involved in this movie when everyone's going to look at this and think to themselves, wow, this is like Bed of Roses or a million other melodramatic romantic dramas I've seen that just aren't working. This isn't a good movie, man. It's just such a waste of really good talent all across the board here. I mean, not just Aaron Eckhart and Jennifer Aniston, but you have Francis Conroy, Martin Sheen, Judy Greer, Dan Fogler, John Carroll Lynch. Good talent all across the board in this movie. And it's a waste. It's just a complete waste of time and patience and just talent all across the board. It's just like, it's not a good movie, man. Love happens in real life, but not a good movie here. I'll just go with that. But anyway, let's get back to the good movies again. Let's wrap it up with a movie that, how much do I love this next movie?
Going out tonight. Wear something cute, okay?
You always do what Jennifer tells you to do.
It's just that I like the same things that she likes.
Hey, Jennifer. You look really pretty.
Why don't you just come by my place? Well, it's random.
This isn't really your house, is it?
We can play Mommy and Daddy.
No way.
We always share your bed when we have slumber parties. Jennifer's evil.
I know.
No, I mean, she's actually evil. not high school evil. Chip is looking really cute to me lately. How is he tasting these days? You are never a good friend. You could have anybody that you want. Hi, Chip. You're killing people. No, I'm killing boys. Are you scared? Thought you only murdered boys. I go both ways. I will finish you if I have to. Okay. You can barely finish gym class.
Yeah, that's how much I love Jennifer's Body. I actually got this at a Comic-Con. I think, if I could be wrong on this, but I think it was just the first Comic-Con when everything was opening back up against COVID. This was actually at a table that's next to our table from a Leo Ghost. There's their website right there for the stuff that she did. I guess it was. I think it's a girl that does this. I don't know. It's been a while since I've actually seen an update from her, but there's the card right there if you want to go check it out. But yeah, I saw this there, and it's just like I had to get my hands on this. Like, as you can tell, it's a skateboard, but it's the Jennifer's Body. It's the scene where, of course, where Megan Fox lights the lighter under her tongue. And not only do I have that, but where's the sticker at? I got it in sticker form too. That's how much. I mean, in addition to the steelbook and the DVD, you can just tell that I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Of course, this is the story about Megan Fox, who plays a demonically possessed high school student who kills her male classmates and devours their flesh in order to survive, with her bookworm best friend Anita, played by Amanda Seyfried, having to find a way to end her killing spree. And what a great movie, man. This was a movie that really was one of those films that came out and just, kind of came and went. I mean, even though there was a whole lot of high anticipation because of just how, this is Diablo Cody's first major film that she had done after writing the script for Juno, which won her the Academy Award. I mean, this was produced by Jason Reitman. This was directed by Karen Kusama, who did Aeon Flux before this, which wasn't a great movie overall, but, this is the same person that also did Girl Fight, too. I mean, this was a good director, and this is just such a fun, silly, over-the-top, very well-done horror comedy that just reminds you so much of the great 80s, 90s horror comedies. And it's a movie that basically showed that, hey, Megan Fox can be very good in the movie. Because, yeah, she sells this role big time. Her and Amanda Seyfried work off each other so well. And, I mean, how are you going to say no to a movie where they actually kiss? I mean, come on. I mean, in fact, Amanda Seyfried been doing a lot of lesbian kissing around this time. Wait till we get to the movie Chloe, where she literally has sex with Julianne Moore. And, yeah, that happened in the same year this came out. I mean, she was really trying to branch away from Mean Girls overall. It's just like, and more power to her, man. But of course, this is a 20-year-old person. This was somebody who was 20 years old saying, yeah, more power to you. You go ahead and do it. But besides all that, this is a really damn good movie. This is a really funny movie. It's a very silly movie. It has an incredible cast. It also includes J.K. Simmons, Amy Sedaris, Adrian Brody, Patrick Starfish, Bill Fagabach from SpongeBob and Coach is in here too, in a very, very funny role that has gone on to have a lasting legacy to it, kind of like a meme. But the movie is just really, really damn good. I mean, it's a really funny movie. It's a really well-made film. It can be at times scary too, but it's just like, it's a good fun horror comedy. We won't get in these type of movies around this time, and it's just like, and even Jason Reitman, the producer on this, said he wanted to make unusual films, and this is certainly a very unusual film that just works. And yeah, it may have not been the hit it was at the time, but it has gone on to have a lot of reappraisal saying that, yeah, this is actually very much worth it in the end. And yeah, it reminded me, movies like this are why I love the movie like Lisa Frankenstein last year. I thought it was a very fun homage to classic 80s, 90s horror comedies. And this is definitely one of those movies that does just that. It's just such a terrific film. I enjoy the hell out of it. I mean, this pretty much says it all right there. Like, that's how much I enjoy this movie right here. I have this, and this as well. But yeah. So yeah. What can you say, man? Jennifer's Body is pretty friggin' awesome. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it.
Robotic human surrogates combine the durability of a machine with the grace and beauty of the human body. With most people living their lives through their surrogate selves, our world has become a safer place. You can finally live the life you've always dreamt of.
think we may have a homicide here. First one in years. The public cannot get the idea that using a surrogate can be fatal. Especially if it's true.
Bruce. Why? First of all, why did you take this part? But most importantly, why the fuck did you put on that hairpiece? I mean, Jesus Christ, that looked awful. This is like the third or fourth film we've looked at in the last couple of years with Bruce Willis, and where he's had a god-awful wig on. And that may be the worst of the worst. I don't care if it's an android. That still looks fucking horrible. And, yeah, a little bit of Total Recall there, a little bit of Enemy of the State. I mean, it's a little bit of, I guess a little bit of RoboCop 2, and, you know, a little bit of the Terminator. Not RoboCop 2, but just RoboCop in general, and the Terminator, which, coincidentally, this is written by some of the people behind the Terminator movies of late. Jonathan Mastal did Rise of the Machines. John Brancato and Michael Ferris did Salvation, which was the much better Terminator movie. And again, Rise of the Machines was pretty good, too, but, this is a movie where you have Bruce Willis starring as an FBI agent who ventures out into the real world to investigate the murder of surrogates, humanoid, remote-controlled robots. I even go as far as to say a little bit of Gattaca in here, because basically the main concept is, you know, as Wikipedia says, centers on the mysterious murder of a college student linked to the man who helped to create a high-tech surrogate phenomenon that allows people to purchase remote-controlled humanoid robots through which they interact with society. These fit, attractive, remote-controlled robots ultimately assume their life roles, enabling people to experience life vicariously through the comfort and safety of their own homes. So there's also a little bit of Ready Player One in there, too, if you even want to go that far. So there's just all these different sci-fi movies coming together in here, and it just doesn't work. This is based off of a comic book series of the same name, and of all people, Elizabeth Banks was one of the producers on this movie, too, so... Not that you could really tell it's her that she's on there. I mean, there's much better Elizabeth Banks productions out there, like Pitch Perfect 2 and Cocaine Bear, but this certainly is not one of those movies. It's a film that it's just so bland and so forgettable, and it's hard to take it seriously when you see Bruce Willis with that god-awful wig. And, I mean, like I said, I know he's supposed to be an android in there, and he's being controlled, and he's not like that in the real world, but it's just like, come on, man. Like, I don't care. Like, it still looks terrible, man. And Bruce Willis deserves a lot better than this, man. And just the fact that he was just taking these really bad projects one after another. Honestly, kind of like with Jennifer Aniston last time with Love Happens, that terrible movie that we looked at. Bruce Willis should be doing this at his age. Like, that time has come where, you know, he wants to be the big action star overall. Just like, no, that time has passed, man. I mean, I know you're still doing the Die Hard movies around this point, but it's like, you gotta move on from that, man. And just, I don't think he really moved on from that, honestly. I mean, he was still doing direct-to-DVD movies up until he retired, and it's just like, he's too good of an actor to be involved in bad movies like that, and a bad movie like this, because, yeah, it's not worth it. The action isn't really that good, the visuals aren't that great, that hair, good Lord, just, the people involved in this movie deserve a whole lot better. You, as an audience, deserves better than this movie right here, so that is Surrogates, and let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. Moving on to another movie that you might see a little bit of familiarity to it, but at least with this one, yeah, I don't know what the hell they were thinking marketing this next movie as that.
Another school that can teach you how to fly. Study your craft. Cast a spell. Discover the magic.
It's who you are. It's your pal.
Somebody's gotta make it out there. Why can't it be me? Rated PG+ video news September 25th.
That's one of the many, many problems with this movie, because, good Lord, first of all, why Harry Potter? I mean, you could make the argument that, oh, they did it because the movie just came out, and it's just like, you know, all these different aspects of, you know, learning how to fly, magic, and all that type of stuff, and it's just like, no, you can't compare Harry Potter to fame. You only did that because Harry Potter is a successful franchise, and you're trying to compare that to this movie here, which you can't even compare yourself to the original Fame. You know what this movie is? This is if Ryan Murphy made a Glee version of Fame. That's what this movie is, because they took the movie Fame, and took its dark overtones that, yeah, it has the great dance music and all, but it's a cold hard reality of the trials and tribulations you have to go to get popular, and become famous. And yeah, you have to do some things that you don't really want to do to get famous, as that movie showed. But not in this movie. It's all happy. It's like everything that happens is gonna be magical. It's just like there are no consequences whatsoever. It's another one of those movies where you follow talented high school students attending the high school performing arts in New York City, where students get specialized training that often leads to success in the entertainment industry. And the fact that Debbie Allen, the original star of the original film, is back in this movie, and she said yes to this, just... like, this movie is a disaster, man. Like, this isn't even a movie. This is a television series, because you go through all these different years of high school. You have the auditions. You have then you go to freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, and then it ends with graduation. And it's just like, this isn't a movie. This is a television series that was originally supposed to be 13 episodes and then chopped down because they wanted to make a movie off of this to cash in on the success of Glee, which was just coming on the air at that time. And yeah, this is exactly like that. It's Moana 2, pretty much. They took what could have been. I'm guaranteeing you we all know that Moana 2 was originally the script for the Moana TV series, but I'm more than willing to bet you that this was supposed to be a famed television series, and then they chopped it down and made it into a movie. And yeah, the results speak for themselves. It's a bland, lazy, uneventful remake of a really good movie from the 1980s, even with its big cast it has in here. This thing, too good of a cast. Too good of a cast, just like with the last movie. Debbie Allen, Charles Dutton, Kelsey Grammer, Megan Mullally, Bebe Neuwirth, Naturi Naughton, Kay Panabaker. You've got Frasier and Lilith. I've watched Frasier so many times. How do I not know who Frasier's ex-wife was? You have Frasier and Lilith in this movie, and you do nothing with them at all. Just like everybody in this movie deserves better than this. We deserve a better Fame reboot than this regurgitated pile of garbage that is basically just a teeny bop version of Fame, because the people that saw this movie clearly did not see the original Fame and the intentions of what that movie was supposed to be about. This thing, just... the more I think about it, it just makes me uncomfortable to think about it, because just like, I hate this movie so much. I hate this movie, especially considering that the original Fame is such a good movie that does not pull the curtains back and tell you that everything's going to be okay. It's just like, no, we're going to show you the hard times of what it takes to be famous, but not this movie. No, it's a happy-go-lucky time all across the board. It's just like, no. No, it is not. So, yeah. I think you can pretty much get the idea to avoid Fame like the plague. So, let's go ahead and move on to the third and final film of the, hey, sounds familiar territory or looks familiar territory. Just see how many other sci-fi movies you can get from this next film we have here.
Where's the rest of the crew?
They're all gone.
Quiet.
Hello?
Those things.
They didn't see me here. They're fast and stronger than you know.
Oh my god.
Pandora, rated R.
I mean, pretty much every single Alien knockoff, including the original Alien. Yeah, this is another one of those movies that, I mean, I guess Paul W.S. Anderson isn't the director on here, but he is one of the producers on here. So technically what I said last week counts, but stop me if you've heard this plot before. Two crew members are stranded on a spacecraft and quickly and horrifically realize they are not an alien. I'm not even going to be able to finish this because it's friggin' Alien again. It's Alien. It's The Thing, it's Event Horizon, it's Daybreakers, it's every single Alien knockoff that you could think of, except nowhere near as good as the original Alien, because nothing could ever be the original Alien, no matter how hard you try. Except for Aliens, of course, James Cameron's Aliens, but at the same time, but with this, it's literally Alien all over again. Like, what do people not understand? That we do not want to see the same movie over and over and over again. Give us something new and original. There is nothing new and original in this movie at all. Nothing about this movie works. Does not have a good cast. If Dennis Quaid and Ben Foster are your biggest stars in a movie in 2009, movie's not good. The movie is not good at all. Nobody. in this movie seem like they cared about this film whatsoever. This felt like an obligation by the studio Overture Films, because they need their big sci-fi film. I mean, they need a film of every genre to prove that they're for reals, y'all. And no, they are not for reals at all. And I got nothing else for you. This is a bad movie. Pandorum, just avoid it. But, hey, maybe Overture Films can get it right with the second film they have this weekend, because they have 2 films out. This is the documentary Michael Moore directed, Capitalism, A Love Story.
He was right about healthcare.
We're here to get the money back for the American people.
He was right about the war.
Where's our money?
I don't know.
Now, he's right on the money.
I got more bags. $10 billion probably won't fit in here.
On October 2nd, one movie will have America talking.
I am here to make a citizen's arrest of the board of directors of AIG.
Capitalism, A Love Story.
We want our money back.
This film is not yet rated. Starts October 2nd.
Easily a much better film than Pandorum was, but maybe not one of Michael Moore's better documentaries. Mostly, the focus of this one mostly is on the 2008 financial crisis and the recovery stimulus, while putting forward an indictment of the then current economic order of the United States and of unfettered capitalism in general. Topics including Wall Street's casino mentality, for-profit prisons, Goldman Sachs' influence in Washington, D.C., the poverty-level wages of many workers, the large wave of home foreclosures, corporate-owned life insurances, and the consequences of runaway greed. The film also features a religious component in which Moore explains whether or not capitalism is a sin, or whether Jesus would be a capitalist. This component highlights Moore's belief that evangelical conservatives contradict themselves by supporting free market ideals while professing to be Christians. Again, he's not wrong on that front, and like I said, this is a good Michael Moore documentary. Maybe not as good as some of his other ones in particular, Sicko and Fahrenheit 9/11, or Bowling for Columbine, or Roger and Me, but this is definitely a movie where it does work. It's a film that very much is a very good, well-made film that has a lot of good intentions to it, and trying to show everybody that, there's a lot of problems with our government. I mean, even with Barack Obama in that White House at this point, there are still a lot of problems that need to be addressed in general, and the film does a pretty good job of, telling you the problems that we need to hear, and it's just like, yeah, it delivers what it promises. It's a good example of how Michael Moore works as a documentary filmmaker, although I will say the next couple of films after this are not anywhere near as good as some of his great work. So this is kind of like with Oliver Stone, except Oliver Stone really just fell off completely after this point. But Michael Moore still would make movies that are tolerable, but feel like they kind of are just retreads of stuff he's covered before. But this is the last one I remember actually do kind of enjoying a lot more than his later films overall. But like I said, it's the weaker of his films up to this point, but still, it delivers what it needs to. It's Michael Moore doing what Michael Moore does best, so take that for what you will. But all 4 of these movies here is pale in comparison to the movie that really took a lot of people by surprise. The last film we have here, easily the biggest release that would have a big impact later on down the road. Even though it opened in limited release this weekend, nobody really could have predicted how successful Paranormal Activity would be.
What you are seeing is actual footage from a screening of the film Paranormal Activity.
I've never seen him. My heart is like... I'm so scared. Petrified, absolutely petrified. Oh my god.
I'm absolutely petrified.
I won't be sleeping tonight.
Awesome.
My heart's still like...
Paranormal Activity.
Ah, yes, the movie that introduced us to the found footage genre craze that would later take up most horror movies for the next 10 years and beyond. And get used to that audience reaction shot, because you're going to be seeing it in every single trailer for Paranormal Activity from this point going forward. And other horror movies in general, they try to make you feel like, that's real people's reaction, even though it's probably from another movie in general, not even related to the movie at hand. I mean, I just saw a trailer today for Final Destination Bloodlines where they did the same damn thing. They had a horror reaction, an audience reaction. Everyone is, there's a cameraman this is probably set in a studio where the director was just like, okay, we need you to pretend like you're actually scared of something. You have to have this scared look on your face, like that, or just like, like, okay, do that action, and then everyone just goes like, and it's just like, perfect. We have a trailer. I mean, this is kind of where it all began right here, and A movie that certainly has a very interesting history behind it, but the simple, complex story is you have a young couple, played by Katie Featherston and Micah Sloat, who play themselves in the movie, who are haunted by a supernatural presence inside their home. They then set up a camera to document what is haunting them, and the film uses found footage conventions that were mirrored in the later films in the series. And his idea is, you know, he's going to put all these multiple cameras, he's going to put these cameras all across the, actually, is it just for... He puts a couple in this one here. He puts a couple all across the house, and so, you know, they get an idea of what's going on in there. And it's a movie where I feel like if you have to be in the same kind of wavelength as something like a Skinamarink, it's either going to be something where you're going to really appreciate it for the fact that it's a slow burn movie, or you're going to hate it because nothing really happens. But the only reason I like Skinamarink is because I've had nightmares like that movie has, where you can't tell what the hell's going on, but it's like, you know that you can't do anything about it, and you see these slow, creepy images coming at you. Like, for me personally, that movie worked. But here, this one does it work pretty well too. I mean, yeah, you get a sense that, yeah, you're not going to be able to see everything that you want to see in here, but you have to realize that it's a slow burn movie, and you have to realize that this is before they made this the franchise that it was. So this is a one-off movie, and it did a pretty good job of doing what it needed to do to scare the living bejesus out of people, and it works. It's a terrifying film, especially the climax of the movie. Like, the lowest, at least, everything that you can do here that is very much, you know, don't move it as much, don't do it too much, and it just works to a T, and I think this one does it very well here. And it works because you do buy the main characters. You can buy that they're a real-life couple in real life. And kind of like with the Blair Witch Project, you don't know that these are actors overall. This could easily be something where, you know, it's something where it could be seen as real life in general. And it does work. It does get some legitimately chilling moments in there. And yeah, you do feel a lot of sympathy for the people involved in here. But the story behind this movie was actually really interesting. It was originally developed as an independent feature, which it was. And it was actually filmed, I believe, in 2007, I believe it was. It was released in 2007, originally, I don't know, maybe I thought maybe it was something before that, but in 2007 it was shown at film festivals, and it was shot for only $15,000, and it was then picked up by Paramount Pictures, who basically wanted them to modify it with a new ending to it that cost an additional $200,000, because in the original ending of the movie, you know, it's supposed to be shown that, you know, after Katie kills Micah, you know, she ends up going back, you know, the police, you know, she runs away in panic, and, you know, two policemen enter the house, reach the bedroom where they find the possessed Katie with the knife, and seeing them, she returns to her normal state and asks about Micah, and after the attic door slams by itself, one of the officers panics and shoots and kills her. The camera then fades to black as the police officers continue to search the house for the source of the sound, and an epilogue text appears dedicating the film to the memory of Micah and Katie. Now, that was only an ending they showed at the 2007 Film Festival, but then the new alternate ending that they threw in here was one where, you know, Micah gets killed off screen, Katie comes back upstairs like she does in the original ending, closes and locks the bedroom door, approaches the camera, promptly slits her throat before collapsing dead, and then that's how the movie ends. But of course we all know that in the film that was released in theaters, we find out that, you know, it's the last night, Katie goes downstairs screaming for Micah, and then you hear all these loud thuds, and then Micah's body's hurled at the camera, and then it's revealed that Katie has basically been possessed by whatever spirit is haunting them, and that's how the film ends. So all three of those endings don't set up a sequel overall, and yeah, it really did get a lot of people's attention. This was only given a limited release in September of 2009, but then slowly but surely, something happened where, just like with the Blair Witch Project, it was a film that just people kept talking about it, and then not but 1 week after it came out, it started making a ton more money than a lot of people were expecting it to. In fact, let me get the numbers here, because, where is it? There it is. So yeah, it starts off with a $77,000 opening in the small number of theaters that it had, but then it jumped back up again to $500,000 in 33 theaters, which is like a $16,000 average per screen. The next week, it just jumped up again to $7.5 million, to near $8 million in 160 theaters. This thing ended up making $60,000 if you count the 4-day numbers for the holiday weekend. in 160 theaters, and that's unprecedented. But then following that, the week after that, it got a 600 theater push, and then it made over $19 million. And then the next week after that, the week before Halloween, it was the #1 movie in the country with $21 million, finally getting the wide release, and it already had brought in $61 million, and it kept going and going. Like, this thing made a lot of money, and nobody was really expecting it. Not Paramount Pictures, not anybody. Like, they really were thinking that, nobody really had any idea that this thing was going to have a life of its own, and it just paid off big time, and it really did lead into this new generation of low-budget horror movies, which could be a good thing, but most of them ended up not being that great, especially films like The Devil Inside, Chernobyl Diaries, what's the other one? The Apparition. These movies here, we get some good ones every once in a while. You get something like A Last Exorcism, or something like, we had one recently that was actually pretty good. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, but this would become the new norm in terms of the genre of the horror movies for the 2010s. I mean, this is a movie that was pretty much a game changer, and certainly the next Halloween, it was going after a very big target, and that was the Saw franchise, which was kind of veering out of it. I mean, most people were kind of getting tired of the Saw movies, and Paranormal Activity came in and swept in and just basically took over from there, became the next great Halloween tradition for a couple of years. So yeah, this film really did have a lot of things that nobody really saw coming at all, and it just became a massive success overall. It's a great movie. It's a really good movie that it's a slow burn movie, but it works to get you terrified. It works because you really do believe in the characters, and it works because you get so invested in how this is going to end, and how it's going to transpire at the end. And more importantly, of all things, keep in mind, this is a Jason Blum production. This was the movie that basically started the Jason Blum empire. Blumhouse Pictures started because of Paranormal Activity's success overall. So yeah, this thing was a big game changer for the horror movie scene in general, how horror films were going to go in the 2010s. I mean, this is a movie that really changed everything. And at least for the first couple of movies, it got better and better from there. And then, not surprisingly, after that, it did kind of peter out. But we'll continue this journey along with the Paranormal Activity movies over the next 6 years, because that's how long we're going to have with these movies in general. So, anyway, not much more to say about that one. It's Paranormal Activity. What more can you honestly say about this one?